I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning. This is Miss Cleo, and I'm here to talk to you adults about something that I ran into this week. I was with a group of young people. It reminded me of my son, and we're talking and planning things, and there is something that I said is missing here. Oh, they're wonderful young people, but they don't have something that I thought they should have. And then as I'm trying to tell them, I said, well, maybe we're just in different generations. They said, well, yeah, maybe we're just in generations. They don't have the feeling of our history. That's just a totally foreign thing to them. And I was wondering, how come that is in this time, this age, that our children don't feel our struggle or the struggles of our forefathers or ancestors, or they don't want to hear it, or that happened a long time ago. What are you talking about? I'm saying, oh my goodness, we have to teach them something, because they're going to bump into it anyway. So what do we do about this? This older generation where our children don't know about or feel about they may know, but they don't feel about our past and think that it is just something that happened yesterday or a long time ago, and we don't have to really think about it anymore. I don't really want to think about it anymore. Of course, we're still talking about other people's tragedies. We still talk about and see the Holocaust. We still talk about crossing the Red Sea. We still talk about all kinds of people who have gone through, or cultures who've gone through horrific times. But how come our children want to forget about it? I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I'm going to tell you a little story about when I was working at the soup kitchen, and I asked people to tell me their stories. And I would make up a story, and then people would guess who the story was about. But this particular story was about a little boy who grew up in Stowe Village. And he had a friend named Buffy. And in those days, in the 50s and the 60s, most of these projects were white and black, very well mixed. And some of them were more white than mixed, but they were mixed. So we were all together, all us poor people, regardless of our culture or race. And Buffy became a very good friend of Larry's. And they did everything together. You know, in the project, you're constantly borrowing something. You borrow coffee, you borrow sugar, and it was no big deal. Our parents were like brothers and sisters, and their mothers were so very close and supported each other very much. No matter what one of them needed, if the other one had it, they would give it to them. Well, one day they were out playing, and they were playing with a group of boys, Raymond and Philip and some of the other boys. And they decided to play Cowboys and Indians. And of course, Philip said, "Oh, I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the bad guy. I'll be, you know." So they said, "Do you want to we're going to hang you, Philip." And so he said, "Okay, hang me." And so they put a rope around his neck, and we had clotheslines in the projects in. You know, they're still there, I suppose. And they put the rope around Philip's neck, and they hung him. And Philip started going, ah, ah, ah. And Buffy said, let him down, let him down. And when they took the rope off, he had a white ring had taken all his skin off his neck, and he started to bleed. Well, by the time he got home, his mother was hysterical, and of course Grandma was there, so she kind of took care of that. It was always Philip, the one to get into trouble, with these boys every day. And we used to go out and play all the time, not like today. You don't hardly see children outside sometimes. And the day they played golf, and Ray put the golf club back and he swung it, didn't realize he hit Philip in the jaw. Tooth went right through his jaw. Oh, but they took him home, the whole gang. So it was a time of experiments and playing and fun and just being out there playing cowboys and Indians, because your mother always said, go outside and play. So we always had to go outside and play, but we had lots of room and a safe place to be. Well, one day, Buffy, one of the gang, was moving. All the fellas, about 5 of them, were all upset. And Buffy moved. And Larry was so upset. So one day, the guys decided we were going to go over and see Buffy, because they didn't move too far away, just moved over there on Granby Street. So it wasn't too far away. So they got on their bikes and they rode across town. They went to Granby Street and they visited Buffy. Well, Buffy invited them in, and they were having such a wonderful time down in the cellar. And Buffy's mother came home and said, Buffy, I want to see you a minute, please. And when Buffy came back, he had this strange look on his face. And he looked at the boys and he said, you can't come back here anymore. He said, what? He said, you can't come back here anymore. So the boys got on their bikes and they rode home. And when Larry's mother got home, he said, son, Ma, we were over Buffy's house and we were playing. His mom came home and she talked to him, and then he came back and he said, we can't go over there anymore. I don't know, why can't we go over there anymore? Well, his mother got this strange look on her face. And she looked at her child, and she acted as though she was mad at her son. And she said, let me tell you something, don't you ever go back over there. Do you understand me? Don't you ever go back over that house again. Now you go out and play. But her heart was broken too. Her friend of many years. Different races, different cultures, but poor culture to poor culture. She had moved on, and she could no longer be friends with her, and her son could no longer be friends with her son. And so she felt what we all feel in American culture, I suppose, one time or another, that rejection and that racism, and her son had just been rejected, and she was heartbroken. And she did not explain it to him. All she said is, don't you ever. I suppose one day she explained it to him, and one day he just bumped into it. Like our children will bump into it if we don't teach them where they come from, their ancestors, their forefathers, where they should be proud of that heritage and the courage it took to get where we are today. We need to teach our children to love ourselves, to know who we are. Or they'll be saying, Miss Cleo, what are you talking about? That happened such a long time ago, Miss Cleo. Do we have to talk about that? Why can't we just forget it? It's over. Now, do you think we need to tell them something? Before they bump into it? Let's teach them our history. Let's tell them about our forefathers. Let's tell them how we got to this country. Let's tell them all the wonderful things we did for this country. Well, I don't have anything more to say about it. I can't think of anything more to say except I'll see you next week, and I'll have another story or another something for you. Read a little, write a little, make those children read. 15 minutes, half hour, what is that out of a day? You'll be glad you did. I'll see you next week.